Every morning, cities around the world fill with young professionals in pressed suits and polished shoes. They walk briskly into tall glass buildings, carrying laptops and coffee cups, looking like the definition of success. But what if I told you that behind many of those sharp ties and confident smiles is quiet suffering? This is the story of one of them, a banker who couldn't even afford bread. His name was Daniel, 29 years old, bright, ambitious, the kind of young man people pointed to and said, he's going places. He had just landed a job in a prestigious bank. To his family, this was the dream. They celebrated, certain that Daniel had stepped into a life of comfort and plenty. Every morning, he left his small rented room, shirt ironed, shoes polished until they shone. He wore success like armor. On the train ride downtown, he rehearsed his smile because in banking, image is everything. At work, Daniel was admired. Colleagues would say, "Man, you've got it made." They joked about his good life. What they didn't know was that in his wallet, there was often nothing but old receipts. What they didn't know was that some nights, dinner was just water. And in the drawer of his desk, hidden behind files, he kept a small container of instant noodles for emergencies, the kind of emergencies no one would believe he had. Daniel's salary looked good on paper, but the reality was different. Student loan payments, family members who depended on him, rent climbing higher every year, transportation costs eating into everything else, and then the rising cost of food. Every trip to the grocery store felt like a battle he was losing. Yet Daniel smiled. He smiled at the office. He smiled in photos. He smiled when friends teased him about being a big city banker, because that's what was expected. The truth? Daniel was hungry more often than he admitted to himself. The suit was sharp. The shoes were shiny. But the man inside was slowly breaking down. And nobody noticed. It happened on a Thursday. Daniel hadn't eaten a real meal in 2 days. His last dinner had been crackers. That morning, he skipped breakfast because he had nothing left in the kitchen. At 11 a.m., as he spoke with a client, his vision blurred. The room spun. His chest tightened. And then silence. Daniel collapsed on the office floor. Hours later, he woke up in a hospital bed. His manager sat by his side, concerned. For the first time, someone asked, "Daniel, are you really okay?" And Daniel broke. He confessed everything. The endless bills, the skipped meals, the shame of wearing success on the outside while starving on the inside. His manager was shocked. "But you always look so put together." That was the problem. The world only saw the suit. Nobody saw the man inside. Word spread quietly among his colleagues. Some gossiped, some mocked, but others stayed silent because deep down they were living the same story. Daniel's truth was not unique. It was just the first one spoken aloud. Behind the polished shoes, behind the corporate badges, so many young professionals are silently drowning. Drowning in debt, drowning in expectations, drowning in the need to look like they are winning, even when life feels like it's crushing them. Daniel's story isn't about weakness. It's about reality. The reality of a generation carrying heavy burdens with a smile. What can we learn? Appearances lie. Don't envy the suit, the car, or the smile. You don't know what's happening behind the silence. Financial literacy matters. Plan, budget, and don't be afraid to say no. You cannot save everyone while destroying yourself. Silence kills. Speak up. Share your struggles with someone you trust. And if someone reaches out to you, listen without judgment. Daniel survived, not because life suddenly became easy, but because he stopped hiding. And maybe, just maybe, it's time you stopped hiding too.